Thank you for being here this morning. It's lovely to see you all again. I have to say it feels a very long time, even though it's only been a few days really. And welcome to Rachel, who is behind the table decoration, but I know she's there, so welcome to you. And it's Carol, isn't it? Yes, so welcome to Carol. So guests this morning who have joined us, and just to remind you that we have a regular church service. Well, when I say regular, I do this, right? We have a regular church service each on the other Sundays. On the third Sunday, we have a community breakfast with a meaningful topic. And the meaningful topic this Sunday will be brought to us by Maddie. Hey, we should just pause for a moment, I think, because, you know, our hearts are heavy, aren't they? And we know that we've got lovely food here this morning and we've been enjoying it. And there are people around the country who are cut off and finding it hard to get food. Now, I'm not putting us on a guilt trip because we are some of the solution for other people. That's the truth. But there's a lot for us to be grateful for. People in this room have had some water go into their buildings and their homes, and we know that, and it's horrible. And yet, when we look at the news, and we look out to our country, and we look out to the world, well, we know, right? So let's just take a moment just to hold some of those thoughts in our hearts. And is there anyone here who's concerned about anyone down country they haven't heard from? Everybody accounted for? Well, that's something to be grateful for, isn't it? So just hold that. Just hold the points of gratitude that we bring into this space today. And hold our care for other people. That we may be energized to be strong in looking after others. Where we can, how we can, from the place that we are in. We're grateful for the company of each other this morning. So it is. Amen. Now, Maddie is not part of the official Auckland Emergency Management response, but she is a very important person in our local communities, and she's looking a little bit tired. You don't mind my saying that, do you? She's looking a wee bit tired because actually she's been working for days, and I'll let her tell you what she has been doing. Maddie has been working for days over the weather events and really making a difference for communities. So she's going to lead our table talk discussion. She came to church before. She sat beside you, Edith. Do you remember Maddie coming that other time? Yes, of course you do. And Madison O'Dwyer, to give her full handle. So Maddie, we thank you for being here with us. But the first job you have to do, you just have to remind us that there's always a spirit of togetherness when we gather. And so you're going to light our candle for us, this green candle that is looking as though it's been through its own natural environmental disaster. If you wouldn't mind, we'll just wait while you light the candle for us. Thank you. So we are connected and there is strength in connection. Thank you, Maddie, and you can use the mic if you like or test your voice, whichever you would like to do.
I'm going to apologise for two counts. One is I'm going to need some of your energy today. So I'm so tired. And the other one is I totally forgot to take my hay fever pill this morning. So if I sneeze, I'm not going to give you COVID. I'm just chronic hay fever and chronically forgetting to take the hay fever pill. So I'm Maddie. I'm the Community Resilience Coordinator for Auckland North Community in Development, ANCAD, and I did come and talk to you right at the beginning of this program when I didn't really know what way it was going, and we talked about how important it is to be connected in an emergency, to have those networks beforehand and to look out for your neighbours. And I'm not going to talk to you about those things now because I think you've probably all experienced that. I'll tell you a little bit about what I've been doing and how the program has reacted, because it's been about a year since I talked to you, and it's grown a lot over the Devonport Takapuna local board area, which is where I'm funded to work at the moment. And then I want to do a community mapping exercise, which will rely mostly on you guys looking at your own community and the resources and the assets and how you might be able to respond to other emergencies. So I have 3 response groups at the moment in the Devonport Takapuna local board area: the Devonport response group, the Takapuna response group, and the Sunninook response group. The Sunninook group is the smallest, and Sunninook got hit the hardest. So you'll know that those houses flooded horrendously and right up to over the windowsills, and a bus floated down Sunninook Road, and when the waters went down the next day, there was a tree under a car. It was quite a sight to see. That group, though, has really strong community connections anyway. They've had that community house there for about 50 years, and Bronwyn runs it, and she's been there for 20 years. And they came together in such strength, because emergency preparedness and problem solving can be solved in the moment. It's good to have that knowledge, but it can be solved if you've got those connections around your community and that resilience. So the first thing they did that morning was go door knocking, and they managed to identify the people who'd been affected and get all that information to emergency services before emergency services had even arrived, and managed to get through the floods. It was amazing. My Devonport group, during the cyclone, they decided that the nearest shelter, which was in Takapuna, was too far if the roads got flooded again for Devonportians, because those roads flood very quickly and easily. So they opened they have 5 emergency hubs that they open in an emergency. They opened one and they put 2 on standby, and they did end up helping a couple of people through to the Albany Centre in the end. But they were the first port of contact. They went and took photos of flooded houses. They've helped people deal and liaise with insurance companies. They have done outstandingly. It's amazing. That group is so dedicated. This program is community-led. So the work that we do in every community is different. The Sunninook group had a one kind of A4 booklet where they were like prepared for 5 days without power and water. And here are some emergency contacts. The Devonport group has a 22-page guide that has what to do in every single emergency, what to do before, during, and after. Lists. It's got pets, insurance info. It's available online and in print. So we've got the 2 ends of the spectrum there, and then Takapuna is coming somewhere in the middle with that one. We are looking to move this program across the whole of the North Shore, because the funding was in Devonport Takapuna local board in the beginning. But it's been a really, really interesting pilot, because civil defence structure used to be to go into communities to write a plan, a 30-page plan, and then to give it to the community and walk away. And what they found is when these emergencies happened, no one knew what these plans were and no one had read them. So it's a new structure. It's a really interesting way to work. And the floods and the cyclone, there's been lots and lots of learnings for me, which I'm kind of still processing, where we performed really well and where we can definitely do better. Before we go into the mapping, I want to give you a challenge though. You can talk amongst yourselves on your tables for a couple of minutes. When people think of emergencies, they think of natural disasters. But there are so many other types of emergencies and challenges. So one of the examples is in Australia when that little radioactive capsule got lost. Or another one might be the Auckland blackout, where the power went out for 5 weeks in the city centre and the hospitals lost power, and that was quite horrendous. So I want to give you a challenge at your tables to think of different types of emergencies, and I'm going to be just very impressed. That's what you get, my impressedness for winning. For the most creative answer, the most unheard strange thing. And we might stay away from war type scenarios, because that's a whole little different bag of chips there. So talk amongst yourselves for a bit. So we hear from this table, what did you talk about?
I only remember two, and that was we've run out of vino and brandy in the house.
That's creative. I heard something about false information.
We got the
Yeah.
really important emergency with so
Yeah.
many people depending on if people can fit around and everything else.
Resulting in panic.
Yeah.
Running.
False information resulting in panic, yeah, and spread, and also running out of alcohol. Big COVID emergency for some of us. Anyone else?
We did some of the common ones that people probably already know about, like bushfires, tsunamis, drought, lightning, fire, houses on fire, or earthquakes where there's no communication, so there's no food can come into a communication into a suburb.
Earthquakes, and lack of communication in general is when internet and mobile coverage goes down is a huge emergency in itself. Isolated communities, a huge issue.
We had, Rangatato erupting,
Yeah.
the Harbour Bridge collapsing, so we were stranded on a chemical spill,
Yeah.
fallout from any nuclear activity overseas, which would send the ash over here, maybe.
Yes.
Somebody thought, what happened if one of those cruise ships sinks in the harbour?
Oh.
And if the Sky Tower collapses, the horrible new tunnel is no longer operational.
Points for this
When I'd say one thing, I think we need more prayers. But the only thing that Pauline that table left off the list was fruit flies. Remember fruit flies? They were an emergency too. Yeah. Wow, what a list.
Did we come up with something on this?
We were super unimaginative in comparison, but we did think of individual things, like someone in your street, an elderly person dying and no one being able to get into the house.
Oh yeah.
So, things that rely more on neighbours or a street culvert. Oh, sorry.
And people, someone in your street dying, like an elderly person, and not being able to get into the house.
Or a street culvert being blocked off so that people couldn't get in and out of their street.
Or streets being isolated and blocked off.
Power things on houses, electrocution. We thought of a lot of things related to power and water.
Yeah. Power and water is on everyone's minds at the moment.
It's my sympathies went out to the people down south where they couldn't get to a money machine. There was the money machines didn't work, and they can't buy. And FPOS doesn't work, so how do you buy anything?
They often say put cash in your carry bag, in your evacuation bag, because if the ATMs go down and you can't pay by credit card.
There's been a lot of looting on the East Coast.
Something that worried me when we had that first flood, I've got a grandson who's in a wheelchair, a very heavy wheelchair, it's electric, and I saw these men carrying out their children up to their chests in water, and I thought, how would we get him out if we had to evacuate this house in a hurry? Because he's too big and heavy for most of us to carry, and there's two other children in the house. Getting these disabled people out of their homes, if there is an emergency, is something that's could be quite difficult, and something that has been playing on my mind since thinking about it.
My niece is staying with us at the moment, and she's in a wheelchair. We had a fire alarm the other day. Second one, first one she went down the lift, which is not meant to do. Second one, she stayed with the door open, listening to the thing going. Was absolutely terrified because she thought she was the only one in the building. We all were actually. 3 o'clock in the morning, it was raining, we were all inside the toilet. But what do we do?
You're very fortunate to have Greg here, who is very passionate about emergency management and disabled communities, and I think you're going to do some work on that going forward. So you might hear some solutions from Greg. I don't have any. Anything from this table?
I don't think nothing to add.
Nothing to add? It's all been covered. Okay. Thank you.
We heard of a retirement village whose retirement village at the lift was broken.
Yeah.
And so people that were mobile couldn't get downstairs. But also, I think there should be ramps instead of just lifts and stairs.
Yeah. So, you've all got a map on your table. You'll need to designate a scribe or two. And it's a very, very simple map of the Birkenhead suburb. And what I'd like you to do for the next kind of maybe 10 minutes is to write down all the institutions, so the schools, shops, libraries, local government, medical centres, the community groups, the skilled people, the special equipment, all the resources in your community. Because we don't have lots and lots of time as a lens for this, it's things that might come up in an emergency. So the vulnerable communities or the skilled people that might be able to help you. You can draw just a random house and put builders, and represent a community. It doesn't have to be geographically accurate. But you're just writing down as many of the assets in your local community as you can.
And the defibrillators.
And the defibrillators. If you know where they are.
No, it'd be about here, I would think.
How could this map be useful to you in preparing for an emergency?
Just being aware of what's around and who you could contact.
And also who might need help at different places, retirement villages, and we've pointed on our map places where there have been massive erosion, problems with erosion and slips, because especially where there are apartment buildings close by, this could be a major with a bit more rain.
I remember we had a slip in
Absolutely.
Yes, we did. Over the
Anyone has an idea on how this could be helpful?
Makes you stop and think.
I think it needs to go in a booklet like those booklets you were talking about,
Yeah.
and then people would know not just who might need help, but exactly who is going to help or where to go if they need to go somewhere.
Not a bad idea at all, an emergency preparedness map, where you could just open it up and look for helpful resources in an emergency. Any other thoughts?
Some of these areas could be designated. Some of these areas could be designated as a community place for meeting if there was an emergency.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any like that at the moment.
Not yet.
Not yet. So, like the library could be a place of a hub for people to go in case of emergency.
Yeah. Pre-existing hubs, so in an emergency there are 3 identified hubs, and somehow the word will get around that 2 might be open.
I was thinking of this hall as well, because it's quite high up here, and I was just thinking if that happened, how does a hub get certified? Do you have to have stuff for people, like 100 blankets, or do you just become a gathering place and offer a cup of tea and information, or how does that work?
So we can talk about that more. I won't today because there's quite a lot, but essentially you don't need to shelter people. That's what Auckland Emergency Management would do. But being a meeting point for information and for safety is really, really great. And you don't need anything for that, and you don't need to be certified for that. In the last emergency, people just filled in a form and said our organisation is open. And it went on the Auckland Emergency Management website.
right.
I feel like I've put you through your paces this morning. So unless anyone has anything major that they've thought about that they suddenly need to share, I think I'll pass back to Greg. Okay.
Thank you, Maddie. Round of applause for Maddie. Thank you, Maddie. There's a lot for us to build on there, and we'll continue the conversation. I really appreciate your being here today. and the energy that you've brought into the conversation. And interesting to look at the maps and how much stuff has been thought of, how much knowledge is in people's heads. So I think that probably suggests that we'll be quite engaged in the Kaipatiki mapping exercise when it starts.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for being with us. Friends, just a couple of things. Now, it looks as though we've gone over time, and if I was preaching, this would be over time. But normally we'd be in the morning tea here. So actually we're within time.
Yeah.
So now we'll just listen to my sermon. Now, what do you notice in the hall today that is different? Curtains! Open and shut case, Sherlock. So curtains raised through a mix of a very generous gift from a person and also money raised through the congregational giving, especially for that project. And David and Rosemary organised the curtains, and I think you came from Dinner Club, climbed up and put them up. That's great to have the new curtains in place. What else do I want to say? Oh, there's a family of 3, not displaced by flooding, but accommodation is quite hard to get in Auckland at the moment because there are a lot of people out of their homes. So a local family of 3 need to find somewhere to live. 2 bedrooms would be good for them. Grace bumped into them last night and has their contact details. So if you know anywhere where a family of, is it 3, is it Grace? Have I got that right? Yeah. A family of 3 might be able to rent, then perhaps you could talk to Grace and she could put you in touch with them. What else do we need to say? We need to acknowledge the giving today, the giving to the food bank and all of the giving that happens through this place, including the online giving. So thank you for that. Birthdays? Whose birthday do we need to celebrate? Here's a new idea for the community breakfast that the pastoral team had. I haven't even told the community breakfast team. I went somewhere else, didn't have time to tell them. They think that it would be quite nice each month when we do the community breakfast to celebrate the birthdays in that month in our congregation. So still meet people, mention people in church, but actually have a wee bit of a thing in the breakfast to maybe get people to light a candle, etc. Does that sound a good idea? Yeah, and we just save the birthdays up. Does that sound a good idea, Edith?
As long as...
So if you have your birthday on the 5th of the month, we'll say happy birthday, but then we'll celebrate it on the 19th. That's right. And you see, you'll be that much younger. Yes, I know.
Would it be possible to have a list of names and birthdays? Because we had that before when we were at and I was in charge of that. So
yes, we do have a list actually.
Now that we're a different community, I don't have any idea.
The pastoral team does have a list of people's birthdays, not the years, but the birth dates.
It's incomplete.
And it's where did that come from? Oh,
Sorry, it's incomplete. So we've got one through the pastoral team. We've got the one that you had, Grace, plus the one that Barbara Wesley had. We put them together, but it's very incomplete. So there are all sorts of people who won't get any celebration because they haven't told us when their birthday is. So if you think you like it, tell me or tell Barbara or tell somebody, and we'll make sure you're on the list.
But if we do a thing on the 3rd Sunday, then we can add people to the list when they say, oh, it was my birthday too and you didn't tell me.
Yes,
and
exactly.
So instead of saying, well, we don't actually like you, that was a joke. We will add you to the list.
And if you think it's a very special, significant birthday and you tell us the year, then we can give you extra applause or something for the significant. They're all significant, but some of them.
As long as we make a point of asking the visitors, about birthdays as well. We don't want to be in the clubbing.
No, that's right. Carol and Rachel, are you having a birthday? You've had yours.
How long ago?
We're desperate to celebrate. Leap year. So you miss your birthday this year. Christina, that's why she looks so young. Well, I think, never mind. Here we've got something to celebrate. Let's celebrate Christina's non-birthday this year by singing a happy birthday. And what we do is Grace is a very fine pianist. And this is her finest piano playing. She plays it in the air. So here we go. Happy birthday to Christina.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Christina. Happy birthday to you.
Grace didn't put a note wrong. Anything else from anybody that you'd like to share, Kathy?
Northcote Takapuna Methodist Parish are having a community dinner in Northcote next Saturday at 5:30 in the Citizens Hall. That's by Save Mart behind the library. Everyone is invited. Come if you want.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anything you want to tell us, Maddie, from general work that's in your head that you just want to share as we're here? Might not be.
I can't think of any.
Can't think of it. You won't go to sleep. Alrighty. Well, everybody done. Right. What I think we'll do is, just to finish, I will play a piece of music. This is a piece of music which I feel fits really well to where we are at the moment. It's a song which uses the metaphor of a fantail. And it's a song about emotions, and how emotions fly away like a fantail and then come back to us, and we hold them close, and our emotions swirl around us. So I'll play this song. So Māori ora everyone, and listen to the song.